Every Wednesday morning, just after our 10 a.m. news, we check in with the only reporter-owned and operated newsroom covering our nation's capital. It's the kind of stuff you just won't get anywhere else. You hear it only at the Blacklocks Reporter. Check it out, blacklocks.ca. Well worth your subscription, because it's the kind of stuff, as I said, that you won't read or hear anywhere else. Tom Korski is the managing editor there. He joins us for these weekly conversations. Tom, good morning.
Morning, Mike.
I'm trying to figure out housing starts in this country. Frankly, I'm sure the federal government is as well, but I hear they're down. The government says the plan is working. Can you make heads or tails of this up or down housing starts market?
Some pretty stark figures from Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, the federal insurer, Mike. Here you have Cabinet saying their figures, not mine. We need a minimum 500,000 starts in our country every year to restore affordability. Last year was nowhere near that. It was 241,000. And it was about 250,000 the year before that. We've never built 500,000 homes in a year, but there are fluctuations in their words, CMHC's terminology. There's some volatility from month to month, and now we see CMHC issuing a caution. They didn't name the housing minister by name, Mike, but they said don't get too excited when you see temporary piecemeal gains month to month. And indeed, that's what Housing Minister Gregor Robertson did when there were some gains in the last summer. And he said, we did it, we nailed it. I'd heard that speech 6 times from Robertson in the House and in committee. We nailed it. Victory is ours. CMHC saying, no, whatever modest gains there were last year, about 6% increase, it said there was a big slowdown after Labor Day that's gone right into this winter and will continue through 2026, make it stop, Mike, and all the way through 2027. It's not looking good.
I'm glad you named the minister, Gregor Robertson, because as I understand it, Tom, he's got a pretty decent real estate portfolio himself.
A very handsome portfolio indeed, as a former mayor of Vancouver, and he did not initially disclose it when he was appointed to cabinet. There is some leeway in terms of timing in your ethics filings, but there was some intrepid reporters out in British Columbia who pulled papers out of the land titles office in Vancouver, and oh yes, Mr. Robertson is a multimillionaire in housing. You can't live in more than one house at one time, but he's got some.
A lot of talk in Ottawa, Tom, straight from our Prime Minister, in fact, about increases in defense spending. How might we get to that lapsed defense spending 2% target for NATO?
It's sort of a wing and a prayer. I don't want to be unkind, Mike. The Prime Minister has not been forthcoming, and the statements he's made on this very important subject cannot be reconciled. This is billions we're talking. He's already promised we're going to meet 2% NATO spending target on military preparedness last year. We did not. His Department of Defense will not release the figures it does have through access to information. We've asked. Now he says, well, we might meet that target in the spring. It's billions. It's tens of billions of dollars. And yet, the Prime Minister has cut income tax. He has said we will never cut a penny out of the unfunded social programs like Dedicare, Canada Child Care Benefit. Won't cut those programs. People love them. And no sacrifices will be required. Well, now, for the first time, he mentioned, well, there could be some sacrifices required. The occasional sacrifice, he said, but Canadians are up for it, quote, end of quote. We don't know what that means. This is voodoo economics, Mike. The money has to come from somewhere. And if it's not coming from taxes and it's not coming from program cuts, that only leaves Big Rock Candy Mountain. And I don't think the rest of us believe in that fantasy. It's dollars and cents.
I love, though, how Canadians are up for the sacrifice, right, Tom?
Yeah, their internal polling shows that's actually not the case. The Privy Council has actually researched this internally. And they asked people, do you think military is underfunded? Oh, considerable. And they said, well, do you think we could meet the 2% NATO target? Oh, certainly. And they said, well, do you want to pay for it? Oh, whoa. Hold on, mister. Yeah, that's when it gets complicated.
Okay, hang on, though, Tom. I think I might have found an area where tens and tens of billions are being spent. Maybe we could find some sacrifice within federal staffing, salaries, and benefits.
Historic figures, their words, historically high figures by the budget office, pointing out the federal payroll is now past $76 billion a year, $76 billion. Average pay and benefits, including overtime, for a typical federal employee is over $143,000 a year. This is on the level. This is the budget office. And my favorite stat from the budget office is that the typical federal employee now answers to 7 different managers, 7 of them. And if you worked at the passport office, they still couldn't stamp the form. At the public health agency, they still couldn't run a mask warehouse. 7 levels of management, a $76 billion payroll. Staggering.
But isn't this just par for the course, Tom? I'm sure I heard Pierre Poilievre saying just yesterday with regard to defense spending that 6 new layers of bureaucracy have been created within this plan.
And yet the Prime Minister had said he's a results guy. He said that he was going to deliver results. No more platitudes. No more slogans, he said. We're gonna get into the results business. That has not been obvious. Well, why don't I just quote the budget officer? Former budget officer Yves Giroux, just retired. What did he say? Well, there's certainly room for delayering. He once told the Commons Finance Committee, you know what delayering means, like stripping the paint off the barn door. But he went on to say, you can't top this. Why don't I quote him accurately? Over time, we're seeing an increase in the number of public servants and public expenditures. But year after year, despite the fact departments choose their own performance indicators, they don't seem to be getting significantly better. That's what worries me, said the former budget officer at the Commons Finance Committee. What are you getting for your $76 billion? Are you getting your passport stamped? Are you sure, Mike? That's where we are.
Okay, one more before I let you go, because this one is juicy, and it's the very reason I come to blacklocks.ca for information like this. The man who would be the next Ontario Liberal leader, Tom, Nate Erskine Smith, but some violations of the Elections Act by Mr. Erskine Smith's previous campaign manager?
And it's a problem. This is, Erskine Smith won't comment on this. The individual is Andrew Goodrich. They are not just casual employees and employers. Andy Goodrich and Nathaniel Erskine Smith have been the closest of friends for 20 years. They both went to Queen's University. They campaigned as youth candidates for Kingston, Ontario City Council. This is 20 years ago. They ran an organic grocery store. I mean, these guys are pretty tight. What happened? Andrew Goodrich, so help me, was busted for 8 violations of federal law by the Commissioner of Elections. This was not casual. What did he do? He backdated documents. He misrepresented cash contributions. He provided false or misleading information. This was on Erskine Smith's campaign and another campaign. This goes back to 2019. Yet, with the investigation underway, Mr. Erskine Smith, in his brief tenure as housing minister last year, named Andy as his chief of staff. Erskine Smith won't comment, but my favorite was one of the notices of violation where Andy said a $1,500 campaign contribution, by the way, that's the maximum under federal law, came from himself and not a mysterious donor. When asked to provide the check as proof, it was not provided, said the notice of violation. This is serious by Canadian standards. No comment from the man who would be Ontario Liberal leader.
I'll tell you, I mean, Erskine Smith, Goodrich, Trudeau, Butts, it's good to have friends in high places, isn't it, Tom?
It's great having friends. It's just friends are the best.
Oh, appreciate it. As always, we'll talk next week.
Thank you, Mike.
Tom Korski, managing editor of the Blacklocks Reporter. That you won't produce the check mysteriously came from this anonymous benefactor. Okay. Serious stuff indeed, but that's okay. Just have friends in politics. Tom joins us every Wednesday morning just after the 10 a.m. news as we mind Ottawa's business with the Blacklocks reporter. Blacklocks.ca is the website. I think you'll enjoy what you read. And as I've said before, well worth your subscription. Stuff you don't get anywhere else, but we like to bring you some highlights of it every Wednesday morning at 10 right here on the show.